Hi, everybody, and welcome to this special edition of Thinking Out Loud. This is going to be a really fun show because we have Jay Wallace, is a rapper and a musician, and he's going to be performing for us very soon. And we also have Jane Anderson with us today. Hi, Jane.
Hi. How is everybody?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
Good.
Good.
Cold, but good.
Yeah, it is cold. And, of course, we have the amazing, the wonderful Katrina with us today. Hi, Katrina.
Hi there. Thank you, Arizona. That's such a lovely intro. I appreciate that. Thank you. This is going to be a really cool show, a good mix of stuff. So I'm excited to see sort of how everyone, what their input is on this. This is going to be fun.
Me too. Do we have any... I'm sorry, Jane. Were you saying something?
I know.
Do we have any input from the audience before we start?
Just some hellos, people saying happy Friday, and how much they love your trailer. So that's always nice.
And we have
Robin Love said that she loves your trailer.
Oh, how sweet.
Yeah.
And I think we need to figure out how Kristen makes those really cool heart exclamation
Yeah, Kristen.
points.
I dig those little exclamation heart points there. I have to figure out how to do that. You have to share.
Definitely. So today we're going to talk about team building while we're waiting on our music. And we're going to talk about, solopreneurs and whether or not they need to have a team, which, my take on it is a solopreneur is never really solo. They always need to have people that they're working with. Jane, what's your take on that?
Absolutely, because I've worked in a team atmosphere and I've worked on my own, and you are never alone. As a matter of fact, when you are working alone, I think it's more important for you to have support people on your team.
Right. Well, and we all need a little perspective too, not even just when we're growing, but just in sort of giving some feedback of what we already created. And it's really nice to be able to have people you trust to do that.
It also helps to create more interest and more creative products and more creative services because you have someone else's perspective on it, not just your own.
Yeah, definitely. Well, what do you think is one of the biggest challenges when you are a solopreneur? Like, if Jane, because I know that you've got such a great perspective on all this, Jane. Like, when you've seen people that work in teams in an actual business or company versus solo, what would you say that for solopreneurs is one of those bigger challenges that they have to sort of overcome in order to be successful?
I think one of the biggest challenges, because right now I am solo, one of the biggest challenges is actually finding someone that's available that you can bounce off ideas, or if you think that you have a really great idea but you're just not quite there yet, somebody to just add that one little element that you haven't thought of on your own. And that's one of the biggest advantages of having a team to begin with, is that you learn from each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I found that being able to, especially Google Plus, but being heavily involved in the social media gives me access to people to bounce ideas off of.
Absolutely. That is exactly one of the things that I've noticed about social media, is that it is a very strong network of, some people don't believe that you can have real friends that you've never met. That is so absolutely not true. I have just met amazing people in the past year, and they're all on social media, and I probably will never meet them in person, but I regard them as, definitely support friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's actually how Jane and I met. We initially knew each other in a community that we share, and it's been great sort of seeing what she posts and how she comments, and she's such a great mom and support system for a lot of the people in that community. It's fantastic. It really is.
Oh, thank you. I enjoy being the community mom.
Yeah, it's really lovely.
I didn't realize that she was a community mom.
Yeah, she is.
Well, I don't know how it came up, but it was just one of the things that we were sharing, and someone said, "You're like our mom, Jane," and I go, "Okay, I can handle that."
Well, yeah, I mean, I'd love for you to talk a little bit more about that essence of you. I mean, in terms of how you share that, that's a large part of how you're really good at working with people in teams, is because that's part of your essence and what you share. So we'd love to hear a little bit more about that in terms of your background and how you came to recognize that that's your strength.
Well, I think because I have like an ancient history, actually, because I've been working for quite a long time, and one of the things that I just value people. I just think that every single person, it doesn't matter who they are, it doesn't matter what their role is, they have value. And I always try to bring that out in someone, because I don't know if you've ever noticed it or not, but um, there's a lot of people that feel inferior for whatever reason, and that's just like not so. That is just not true, because you don't have to feel inferior to anyone. And so one of the things that I try to just always be an encouragement to someone. And I always say, if you see someone without a smile, share yours. They're free. And I try to do that. And I've always tried to, whenever I go to an organization, is I try to learn as much as I can about who does what, so that I can help make an internal network. And I've never tried to really earn the go-to person title, but I know that just because of the way that I am and trying to help people reach out and network with someone else, it kind of makes me the go-to person, even if it was totally unintentional.
Mm-hmm.
But I just, one of the things is that I just really want to help people to be successful.
That's such a lovely way to share.
That was exactly about what I was going to say. As soon as I can get Jay's microphone off of mute, then he is going to perform.
Yeah, so
we can take a break
and intro for him.
Sure. Well, as soon as I can get his microphone to unmute, which is driving me nuts. Jay, if you can hear us, do you have your microphone muted on your end? It's live, folks. Things happen all the time.
Well, what did you do last time to get him off mute? That seemed to work.
I just kept pushing this button, and eventually it took him off mute. And I don't know what to do now.
Well, do you think if he went out and came back in, that would help?
Yeah, that might help. You want to, Jay, do you think you can drop off and come back in? Just hit the same link. I hope he can understand.
Well, I'm not sure if he has, I think he can hear you. I'm not sure if he has headphones in or...
I wonder if he could click something. And I think he was trying to adjust his actual physical microphone. And I was wondering if maybe he has a button that he could click up at the top of the screen or something.
Well, we got his picture. Yay! I can't hear you yet. I need you to drop off, Jay, and come back in.
Oh,
no, we got you. Yay!
Yay!
Just in time.
Music. Yes.
All right, so did you want to give him a short little intro for those of the folks that haven't actually read the show description?
Sure. This is Jay Wallace. I actually found him while helping Rain Dow try to find a musician for another show.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a rap lover, and I fell in love with Jay's lyrics. They are fabulous, and his music. So his lyrics are positive and uplifting, and they present society's problems in more of a positive manner rather than the negativity that I've come to expect out of rap a lot of times. So, Jay, it's all you.
Oh, thanks, Arizona.
You're welcome.
All right. Can you hear the music? Okay. My heart bleed pity for these silly little rappers, caught up in the flesh, looking up to the trapper. The beats capture my intricate views, my image untainted. I could be on the tube, but in this ruse, I abuse all the rules and chart my own path to be considered a fool. A pool spills from my pen to the page. I'm editing plays like Willie Beeman during the game. My skill could do without passing the proof, but I'm torn between perfection and providing the roof. For my thoughts are having seeds and supporting the wife when I'm not sure, knowing that there's much more to this life. And twice I've thought of definitely packing it in, as aimless balls start to feel like a piss in the wind. And if I thought that I was keeping the faith and saving them face while talking flashy on tracks, I'm falling from grace. I can feel your pain and it runs so deep. You should all sing along if you wanna be free. Lay your burdens down all in the same heap while wading the water when it gets too steep. I can feel your pain and it runs so deep. You should all sing along if you wanna be free. Lay your burdens down all in the same heap while wading the water when it gets too steep. We no longer curing diseases, only giving you reasons to keep getting a fix without exercising your demons. Believe it, making a dollar is the only object as evidence of worth with today's modern concepts. We pay insurance to guarantee good health, but try and file a claim, rejections come in the mail. As if they too scared to say it to your face, you keep it from your family and you patiently wait. There's nothing other than profits and mongrels of fear manipulating off profits. Eager eyes face the heavens trapped in this mosh pit, objectively trying to find a proper way to stop this. My mama's drama got her puffing packs of Saratoga, but them bottles Zoloft is what put a chip on my shoulder. Life is a process. Somehow we have digressed from a culture of change to one with no progress. I can feel your pain and it runs so deep. You should all sing along if you want to be free. Lay your burdens down all in the same heap while wading the water when it gets too steep. I can feel your pain and it runs so deep. You should all sing along if you want to be free. Lay your burdens down all in the same heap while wading the water when it gets too steep. Rappers enter the game swearing they're the hardest. See, soft quick and then rolling like Charmin. No money for the studios, recording my apartment. Crew members jumping ship, no commitment to what we started. Crimes against the crew got you feeling like a target. Bullseye and red dot, and I'm feeling like a marksman. Now back to this bucket where I'm caught up with these crabs, watching smiling faces and the pats on the back. Last year I swear I did a whole lot of stressing, pledging learning from lessons and trying to make it to heaven. And please don't judge us, dear almighty dollar. You the reason women stripping and dudes be moving product. Reaganomics opened up the Panama Canal, and I ain't never needed boats to go and cop a couple pounds. Voting for your leaders by who has the best smile, and people do the same with lovers or walking down the aisle. I can feel your pain and it runs so deep. You should all sing along if you want to be free. Lay your burdens down all in the same heap while wading the water when it gets too steep. I can feel your pain and it runs so deep. You should all sing along if you want to be free. Lay your burdens down all in the same heap while wading the water when it gets too steep. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I want to thank my producer. What's that?
You guys see that?
Let me get you white box. There we go. Yeah, Michelle Price says, no, that's some rap music that I want to hear more of. Very positive message and still speaking the truth.
Very nicely done.
Thank you. And also I want to thank my producer, Brandon Isabel. I don't know if you can see him in the shot. He's being shy and he doesn't want to get in, but he actually is the person that encouraged me to pursue music, at least in this capacity, because before then I was just doing a lot of recordings and things for other people. But yes, to Brandon Isabel as well. So thank you.
You guys are like a living example of collaboration in action. It's awesome.
Yes, it is.
Very cool.
Very nice. Thank you. And if you want to hang around, you're welcome to end the show on a song, too, if you would like. We're going to try to talk you into it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay, so should we go back to talking about teams and collaboration? I mean, what Jay's talking about is a perfect example of collaboration, which happens when you're living in the same community. But what we're doing right now, Katrina, is collaboration here, across miles.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I mean, even though Arizona and I actually technically both live in Colorado, we are a good 2.5, 3 hours away from each other. And it's just amazing that even though we're in the same state, the chances of us actually ever meeting each other in person would have never happened if it wasn't for Google Plus. And those are the kind of stories that I love. It's just there's people that you can meet that are technically that are in your own backyard that can help sort of collaborate with you and grow your business and grow your outreach too. I mean, that's the more amazing thing. We're supporting each other's creativity. So to me, obviously, that's very close to my heart, and I'm really excited to be able to do that. And that's, I'm assuming and I don't want to put words in her mouth, but I'm assuming that's a large part of the reason why Arizona started this show in the first place, is just really having a place for people to be able to do that.
Oh, exactly. It gives me a chance to meet all kinds of different people, gives us all a chance to say exactly what's on our minds. No fear, no judgment in this zone at all. So listening is a huge part of proper communication too. Jane, do you have any advice as far as improving listening skills? Because I know you are the pro at listening.
I have been complimented on being a good listener before, and I think it's maybe because I'm not much of a talker, but I think one of the things that is the most important thing is when you're going to go into a conversation with whether it be one person or three people, always go in with the attitude that you have something to learn. And if you go in thinking that, well, I'm just going to tell them how I feel, or I'm thinking about what I want to say next, you aren't really valuing that person, and you're not really thinking that they're going to help you at all. And I think that that's one of the qualities of good listening, is that you listen to hear what somebody really has to say, so that you could almost repeat it back to them, so that you know that whatever they've said, you have actually heard it, and you're not on to the next topic already.
Yeah,
I was going to say I really like the point you make, where if you're not listening, then you don't value the other person. And I think that's a huge thing for us all to remember.
Well, have you ever talked to somebody when you've gone up to them face to face and you just want to say something to them, and their eyes are over here and they're over here, and I've had people do that to me in my past, and I'm thinking, heaven help me, I don't ever want to be like that.
I tell you what's worse in today's day and age is when you're talking with someone in person and they are on this.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm listening.
Right.
Okay, what did I just say? Did I tell you that I just ran over my cat? Did you hear that?
Well, just think about how different things would be if people actually realize how good it feels to be heard. It's such a wonderful thing when you know that someone's actually really tuned into you, paying attention to you, and really listening. That feels good. That helps people feel good about themselves and what they're sharing, and it goes a long way.
One way to look at it too is, I'm glad that Jay's here, because when I think about communication, I actually think about the music on a scale, and how you have all of these dissimilar notes put together, and they make the most beautiful music. That's a harmony that comes from it. So it's not like if you had all middle C and everybody was a middle C, how boring would that be?
Right.
But if you have the C's and the G's and the F's, and Jay's smiling, and I love that smile, because that's how when I think about communication, I think about the symphony, the music, the harmony, because it's, how boring would it be if it was all the same? Or even if you had four notes, but we have the whole scale, however many that is, I don't remember anymore. It's been a long time since music lessons. But I just think that that's one of the things that's very important for us to think about when it comes to team building, is all of these pieces of the music come together, and the more notes there are, the more harmonious it can be.
Absolutely. Well, and I love Johnny S.'s comment, too, because Arizona beat me to posting it. This is a really good comment and question for you, Jane. Do you have any insight on this? When you recognize someone who has poor listening skills, is there a way to help them? Because they're missing a lot and they're clouded.
Me personally? How would you help someone with poor listening skills?
Oh, no. Johnny is actually one of the people in the audience. Sorry, I was reading a comment. But you can answer that if you have something, certainly. I'm not meaning to exclude you, sure. But either you or Jane, do you have any input on that? How to help people really tune into that when they seem really confused or clouded?
Well, I think
Jane?
one of the main things is if you can establish a good rapport with the person. If you don't have a good rapport with them, that's the very first step that you have to do. And try to be able to, if you don't have a good rapport with someone, you can't go to them and say, I think that you need a little bit of help in this area. Because even just a little bit of help is going to off them just like that. But the very first step would be to make sure that there's no animosity between you, and to make sure that when you're talking to them, that you're not really, that there is absolutely no way that they would ever feel like you were offending them, but you're trying to help them. And first of all, they have to want to admit that, well, I could use a little help in this area.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Your advice has to be, supportive but not intrusive.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and you have to build a certain sense of trust before you can start giving advice, which
Right,
I think,
the rapport.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Robin Love has a good comment here. She says some people have trouble concentrating, which is one of the reasons they have bad listening skills. It's not by choice. I had to work harder to become a better listener. And
that is absolutely right. I know that when I've talked to people about, because of being a good listener, I've actually accused myself before of having ADHD because I have trouble concentrating a lot of times. But that's one of the things that comes with valuing the person, is that if you really, really have to force yourself to concentrate, you might have to. But I have a grandson that had ADD, and I had a terrible time getting him to listen to me. And this is how it is with adults too, is like, I actually would have to get up to him and say, look right in my eyes, because this is what I'm going to say to you, and you need to listen to me. And if his eyes were darting all over the place, I'd say, no, you look right at my eyes, and I want to know that you are listening to me. And you can't really do that like intrusively, as Arizona pointed out, with an adult, but you can go to them and have a good heart-to-heart conversation, because the truth is, if you don't have the conversation with them, nothing will ever change. And once you give them your feedback, it's really up to them to decide what kind of attitude they're going to have about it. Is this going to make me bitter, or is it going to make me better?
Mm-hmm.
And they have to decide that.
Yeah. I also like this comment from Ron. I don't know if you saw that one.
I used to tell my kids that.
Yeah. God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, and we should use them in the same proportion. I think that's really funny.
Totally agree, Ron.
Yeah, that's one I'm guilty of telling my children all the time. And the other thing is that I picked up going to actually it was a Virtuous Woman seminar, when they said what you communicate is not what you're saying. It's what the other person hears. And what they hear is going to be based on their reality. So it's very important that you understand where that person's coming from.
Mm-hmm. And that's another element of the rapport, too, because rapport can never be one-sided. You have to consider the whole person, all the people.
Well, and in those instances where you are part of a team, everybody has their unique skill set or their unique passion that they're trying to bring to the table. So how do you still function as part of a team or in a collaboration, and making sure that you're sharing your essence effectively without, sort of trampling on the other people in the group, but at the same time being fair and honoring yourself, and that can be a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
You have any insights on that? Like how to share your uniqueness as part of a team?
I think one of the best ways I've seen of handling something like that is when you go into like a collaborative team meeting, is to have like whiteboards or flip charts or something where everybody's thoughts can be captured. And
Mm-hmm.
so when somebody's going to say, I have this idea, then you categorize it and you put it into, like try to categorize things so that at the end of the day, you can say, well, we had some that were all talking about the color to paint the walls. We had some had that wanted to be included in the shopping event or whatever it is that you're talking about, so that you can begin to figure out what people's hot buttons are and what they think is important, because to the person that it's their idea, of course that's it's important.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can capture all of that and not all on just one flip chart, I mean, like if you can categorize it so that you can begin to break things down, then you can see where people's strengths are too, or where their interests lie, and be able to use them more effectively.
Right. That's a good tip.
Yes, it is. I just went totally blank. Senior moment. I apologize.
No, that's okay. Well, I was actually curious about asking her a little bit about listening and empathy, because I do think that there's some of us that are very sensitive in those situations and are trying to balance our own needs versus the other person's needs when you're in collaboration or when you're connecting. And that, I think, happens a lot online too. I mean, there's a different dimension that you have to sort of tackle when you're trying to build an online relationship and being empathic in that sense too. It's like how does that relationship balance itself out? So I'm curious to see if you guys have any thoughts on that.
Do you want me to try to answer that one?
Sure.
Okay. I don't want to jump in if like Arizona wanted to say some things too. But I think with one of the things about whether it's an online relationship or if it's email or whatever, you have to really temper the way that you say things. Mm-hmm. And I think that you can really damage a lot of relationships if you're, because I can say something totally in fun sometimes, and I think it's really funny, and somebody else would read that and they would think, wow, that wasn't very nice at all. Mm-hmm. So one of the things is, like, when you're communicating online, is if you do say something and it doesn't come across very well to whoever you're sending it to or a group of people, be willing to say, oh, I'm really sorry, I didn't mean to say that. Not that you're putting down yourself because you said it totally innocently, but be willing to take responsibility for the way that you said something, and be willing to back off a little bit and kind of like mend the fence before it actually completely tumbles to the ground.
Yeah, I think people tend to forget that in emails and text messages and all. It's so, you very quickly shoot off a sentence and it can sound so terse.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I've been very guilty of that in the past and have had to learn how to kind of calm it down.
Well, and I do think that plays well into realizing that even as a solopreneur, in some ways you do have to be a team player, because you're working on what your passion is and what you're really good at, but you aren't good at everything, and you shouldn't have to be good at everything just to be successful in your work and in your business. So in terms of looking at it from that perspective, it's important to build relationships that are respectful, that you are listening as well as you are sharing, right? People want to be heard as well. And I do think it's important for solopreneurs, because I know that word is a little bit of a charged word in some senses, to really just think of themselves as people that are connecting with other people. Mm-hmm. The job that you have and what you're actually doing isn't necessarily as important as the fact that you're connecting in a way that feels good for you and is supportive.
And feels good for your clients also.
Yeah.
All these skills will aid you in working with clients, mm-hmm. just as well as building up a team.
Yeah. Well, what do you think are some of the bigger barriers then in terms of building that relationship? Is it just, do you think people are afraid to sort of put themselves out there and say something, or they're afraid to ask for help? Like, what do you think are some of the bigger barriers in building the communication in those relationships?
For me, it's asking for help. You know, the fact that I actually put a piece of artwork out there and I said, hey guys, I need help with this, that's the first time ever I have done something like that.
I think asking for help, but I think considering personalities, because you don't really get a chance to congregate in one room and be able to detect the chemistry, because it doesn't matter if you are in a room or if you are thousands of miles apart, there is an element of chemistry in everything. And when you're so far apart, as far as not being able to see each other in person, and all you have are the things that you write, and like it's only been like, I don't know, it's only been the last couple of years or so that video has um, been popular.
Mm-hmm.
I used to help produce uh, online classes at another job that I had. And we never used video. We used the share the desktop and things like that so you could hear voices, but you didn't get to, like, how we're interacting now. We didn't get to see the facial expressions. So you were pretty much tied to how somebody said something. And that chemistry is really strong. It's like, well, I don't want to, like, I don't want to have to email them because they're always unkind, or they swear, or whatever it is. But the chemistry is always there, and I think you have to work a lot harder to temper your words, and just the way that you come across to people. You have to kind of be a little bit more cognizant of that, because you don't have the advantage of getting together in person.
Right.
So tone of voice plays an important part, as well as body language on video. Tone of voice plays an important part, both in emails and in verbal, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Well, and what do you think keeps people, or I know that there's fear involved in this sense, but I do think that people are a little bit afraid to be who they are, which makes communicating more challenging because you're not showing up as yourself.
Mm-hmm. I think that's true even in a person-to-person setting when you're getting together. But I think online, I think that one of the things that is very prevalent is people will say, well, you don't really know the person at all, because they can hide behind a facade. They can, hide behind a mask of sorts. But I think that the more that you work with someone and try, well, this is one of the things that I don't know if this is helpful to anybody else, but one thing that's been helpful to me is to, if I'm trying to communicate with someone, I don't just like supercharge right into the business right away. It's like, try to get to know the person a little bit more, because you have to establish the connection, like the little personal connection, and things like that. And like one of the things about with Katrina, the very first thing I noticed was when I saw you on a video one time, as I was thinking, she really is creative. Even her office is creative. And I just, because you could have said creative Katrina, but once I see you, once I hear you, once I see the office that you work in, I'm going, oh my word, she is who she says she is. She is creative. Because, you can write anything, but but when you actually see the person, you see how they interact with individuals. I think that their true self comes out, and you get the whole perspective. And I think with the fear part of it is that it is a lot of trust factor. And why am I afraid to tell you who I am? It's because maybe I'm not really sure that I want to put myself out there. So there's that fear involved. And then there's, like, I guess I could say that I could fear, like being on this show tonight. It's like, well, what on earth would I have to say? But you know what I'm thinking? What's the worst that can happen? They can say, well, that was a bomb. We're not having her again. So,
I don't see that happening anytime soon.
but But somebody said to me, they said, well, I didn't know you do that. And I go, well, I don't do that, but I'm doing it tonight.
Yeah, take a chance. That's what creativity is all about. You got to try new things.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, like you said, the fear is very real, and that's a very personal thing. And I think that you can encourage someone, you can try to, you know, tell them, well, just try it. You can do all of that, but fear is very real to them. And that's one of the things that we have to realize when we're working with anyone is that just because I don't have a fear about something or I think it's a ridiculous fear does not make it ridiculous to that person because it is a fear to them.
Mm-hmm.
I think that goes into honoring the other person's reality.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. Well, and then how to address that friction. Because there are situations where you can sense that fear and that friction, and you know that there's a discomfort there. So how do you manage some of those situations?
I think once again, I think one of the things that's very helpful is the community as a whole, not just the one-on-one, is because I'm sure that there are people online that don't care for my personality. And I have to look at myself and say, well, you know, if this person doesn't care for me or whatever the case may be, I don't think that makes me less of a person. I don't think that makes them less of a person. I just think that we have to learn to get along together, and if it means a side conversation or something like that, because you don't want the conflict to coexist, because conflict will just grow. And then pretty soon it spreads to everyone. So if you detect something and there's something that you can do about it, it's your responsibility, at least in my opinion, it's your responsibility to at least try to address it.
Yeah.
Because conflict is always going to come up, and it's not going to go away by itself. It has to be addressed some way or other.
Yeah, and I'd like to just pin this one comment because it's in alignment with what we're talking about, and in terms of that fear and really kind of getting to know somebody. Sometimes on video calls, people can't really be their natural selves because it's not comfortable for them. So if Intuitive is saying, hey, some people don't like video calls because of their fear of being judged based on their appearance instead of their other accomplishments or merits. So sometimes that can be a bit of a challenge in terms of being yourself online and in a video, but I think that goes kind of circles back to doing what you feel is your strength and trying to connect in that way. And, you know, maybe spending a little time getting over that fear. If you practice video calls with people that you like, that can help.
Right.
Well, and I think all these fears all wrap around the same thing of being judged, being felt like they are less than.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that feeling of being less than, I think, that causes more conflicts than anything else.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things, too, though, is that when I read that comment that was up there, the definition, is it looked to me like that person is still thinking perhaps they feel that way about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I, you know, like, I do not think that I'm the sharpest tack in the box. I don't think that I'm the most beautiful person in the world. But you know what? I like myself the way that I am. Mm-hmm. And if I'm always comparing myself to someone else, I'm never going to have contentment with me. So, you know, comparison is the opposite of contentment. And when I read that definition, I was thinking, well, this person really needs someone to come alongside them and say, you know, like, your appearance doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. What does it matter what you look like? That has nothing to do with how well you convey your ideas. I could have two noses, but that does not mean that I cannot convey my ideas.
That's right. Exactly. Well, I was just thinking if there's anything else to tie up. I was kind of checking through some of the last few comments here and see if there's anything else that you wanted to add, Arizona, before we wrap it up, because I know we've gone a little bit over today.
No, we kind of felt like we probably would go over a little bit today. I can't think of anything else. I really wanted Jay to end it with a song, if he would. And I wanted to remind everybody that the show is sponsored by Today's Visions. Please go out, give us a try. You get a free website, you get free promotion, and you get free training. It is a win-win situation for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
So, Jay?
Hey.
Hey.
There was a time I chucked trees to offset short checks. I don't really know why, maybe just for respect. I rode 8 hours like a trucker for the heck, and still somehow couldn't get up out of debt. I still ain't blown after all this prep, so I'm back up in the gym and I'm doing more reps, spitting that fire that'll burn through your flesh. Who I think is the best? Come on, take a wild guess. Ain't very many left, the best veterans are dead, and the few we got left, fame went to their head. Do you believe they got a need to make you change up your tone? Cause it ain't even about achievement or the cleverest song. Maybe I'm crazy, but Mercedes is the way I should go. Point shaving, speaking in layman's and detract from my goal. What they call dope, misspelling hope in the eyes of the folks they call blokes, hoping to choke legislation and votes. But I woke up feeling good today. I don't care what the people say. I'm on my grind and I need my pay. I lost my path, but I found my way. I woke up feeling good today. I don't care what them people say. I'm on my grind and I need my pay. I lost my path, but I found my way. I wrote to find hope, searching for greater freedom, believing they hear my grievance and exercise all my demons, relying on help from friends, but never asking for ends, only asking for a commitment to a code that we defend. I pretend I'm making amends, cause I hate to offend, when really I feel I'm David, trapped in the lion's den. With these pigeons I'm living to get more birdies than Conrad. Girls and women, if living would make my mom brag. I'm trying to pop tags instead of rocking these tattered rags. It's in the bag with the rap, or should I say I'm glad? Jay Wallace believe it, the best kept secret. Swagger on 100 trillion, these haters is getting heated, as if I had offended them, plotting schemes to get even. Though I've never sowed a seed with which I would fear reaping. I'm ego-driven, African in dissension, and too much pride for my culture is making me egocentric. But I woke up feeling good today. I don't care what them people say. I'm on my grind and I need my pay. I lost my path, but I found my way. See, if I die tomorrow when I join with the sky, retain consciousness, look back on my life and cry. I got a couple regrets, a couple of dirty secrets, but I keep them to myself. Some truths don't bring you freedom. Some friends will turn their back on you when you need them. When they're there for no reason, they only last a season. Lessons taught and learned, two sides of the same coin. Laid in that fire and prayed that I could be reborn. Lately, death done had my mind in its grip. How much pain will I have to feel right before I slip? It's a couple of whips that I've been wanting to drive, and zipping the Kawasaki up and down Riverside Drive. Is it pain or regret that I've been feeling inside that got me looking back and questioning what I did with the time? See, I'll have no regrets when I provided for my semen and left behind a blueprint for my seeds to lead them. But I woke up feeling good today. Woke up feeling good today. I don't care what them people say. I'm on my grind and I need my pay. I lost my path, but I found my way. I woke up feeling good today. I don't care what them people say. I'm on my grind, but I need my pay. I lost my path, but I found my way.
Nice. Woo!
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Arizona, for having me. Thank you, Katrina, and thank you, Jane. You guys are great, awesome hosts. Like, you guys are really, really good at what you do.
Oh, thank you so much. And your music is so awesome because it sort of just reminds us of that same message. And sometimes we hear it better when it's through music. You know, reading, talking, it's all different. But if you can kind of integrate that message with music, it's very powerful. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you. I really appreciate being here. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay.
And Jane, thank you.
Any last words, Jane, that you'd like to toss out there?
This has been great. I'm so glad to have met you, and I just hope that somebody had a good takeaway from just one thing, just from the time that they spent here tonight.
I think so. When you go into the event chat and see some of these fantastic comments, I think you'll be really happy. People really dug it. They had fun, and they had some good stuff to share.
Great.
I think so too. Y'all can find Jane at insightskills.com. And Katrina can be found at creativekatrina.com. Jay, I don't think you have a website yet, do you?
Not yet. Well, I mostly just do like Reverb Nation and SoundCloud and things like that. They're all Jay Wallace or Jay Wall Music. I was working in the process of working on a website, but actually we were talking the other day about todaysvisions.com and the discounts and the deals that you have. So I'm definitely looking at contacting you about that.
Okay. Yeah, I think it was Reverb Nation that I found you on. And you can find me at Today's Visions, hanging out on Google+. Everything's under Arizona Love. Bye, y'all.
Bye. Great show, guys.